Hello, my friends. Today's story is about a powerful truth. Success is always quiet. Real success doesn't need noise, show-offs, or constant attention. True success grows in silence and speaks for itself when the time is right. This tale is perfect for English learners because it uses clear, everyday words and real-life emotions, fear, hope, persistence, to pull you in. Today's story follows Ethan Miller, a quiet young man with a big dream. The sun rose gently over the small town of Brookfield. Its soft light slid over quiet streets, awakening rooftops and lawns with a pale gold glow. A few early birds hopped along sidewalks, and a lone newspaper delivery boy whistled an old tune while tossing papers onto porches. Across town, the Miller family home stood modest and calm. Inside, Ethan Miller lay in bed, staring at the worn ceiling fan, its blades turning lazily in the warm morning air. Ethan rubbed his eyes and sat up. He was 24 years old, with dark, curly hair that refused to be tamed. His room was simple: a desk and old laptop, a small bookshelf crammed with coding manuals, and a faded poster of an oak tree. He swung his legs over the side of the bed and closed his eyes, thinking of the dream that had visited him again last night. The dream of success, not loud and flashy, but deep and meaningful. Ever since he was a boy, Ethan had been drawn to silence. He preferred reading quietly under the big oak in the park to playing noisy games with other kids. He listened more than he spoke, watched more than he acted. People called him shy, but in his quiet heart, he carried a loud dream to create something that could help people, something built on his own hands and mind. He did not know then what form that something would take. Maybe a book, maybe a piece of music, maybe a new invention, but he felt it growing inside him like a seed beneath the soil. Ethan's parents worked hard. His father, Mr. Jack Miller, was a mechanic. He fixed cars from dawn till dusk in a small garage. His mother, Mrs. Laura Miller, scanned groceries at the town store, greeting customers with a gentle smile. Money was tight, but love was abundant. Ethan often joined his father in the garage after school, handing him tools and learning how engines worked. He learned that every part mattered, no matter how small. He learned that hidden inside metal shells, quiet forces moved powerful machines. His mother taught him compassion. She would kneel before him as a child and say, "Ethan, you have a kind heart. Use it wisely." Together, they brought home damaged goods, old radios, broken clocks from the junkyard and fixed them at night by the glow of a single lamp. It was silent work, but each repair felt like magic. He learned that fixing things, restoring them to usefulness, brought real joy. In high school, Ethan watched classmates chase fame. They posted photos of fancy dinners, bragged about weekend parties, and chased viral videos. The loudest voice often won the most followers. He envied their confidence. He wanted people to see him too, to praise him, to cheer him on. He tried once, posting a video of him playing guitar under his oak tree. It got a handful of likes, but then faded away. Something felt hollow. The applause was brief, and rushing to capture attention left him emptier than before. He realized the world loved noise, and noise was easy. Noise came from bold statements and attention-grabbing stunts. But real work, the work that mattered, stayed quiet in rooms where no one watched. His heart sank, but a small voice inside whispered that true success might be quiet. After graduation, Ethan faced a choice: follow friends to college or stay home and work. College meant debt. Debt his family could not afford. He chose the latter. He took odd jobs: dishwasher at a diner, night janitor at a school, delivery boy for the grocery store. Every penny went into his savings jar, a glass container with a handwritten label, "My Quiet Dream." At first, people teased him. "You're wasting your youth," they said. "Why work all day and skip fun?" He smiled in reply, but doubt crept in. He missed late-night laughs with friends. He missed carefree days. Yet each morning, before sunrise, he would wake, pour a cup of bitter coffee, and sit at his desk, opening his old laptop. He watched free videos on coding, read tutorials, and typed lines of code that made nothing happen. Yet each line felt like a step. One evening, after his shift delivering pizzas, Ethan stopped by the home of an old neighbor, Mr. Howard, who lived in a quiet house at the town's edge. Mr. Howard had been a successful businessman in the city, but had retired to Brookfield. Ethan had always respected him, but never spoken much. That night, Mr. Howard was mending a broken radio on his porch under a dim lamp. Ethan greeted him. "Good evening," he said shyly. Mr. Howard looked up and smiled. "Ah, Ethan, come, sit. You have hands made for fixing." He handed Ethan the screw-tightening tool. Ethan knelt and watched the old man guide him. In silence, they worked together, each twist of wire and gentle tap bringing the radio back to life. When it crackled with sound, Mr. Howard patted Ethan's shoulder. "You have a rare gift, boy. You love the quiet work, the work that most people forget. Remember this: success is not a parade. It is a quiet sunrise. It begins unseen, and when it rises, it warms the world." Ethan felt those words echo in his heart. They were the most valuable lesson he had ever received. Back home, Ethan threw himself into coding. He built simple programs at first: a calculator, a to-do list. He tested and failed and tested again. His laptop often froze, and error messages haunted him. But each failure taught him more than success ever had. He took notes, wrote down mistakes, and searched for answers at night when the world slept. For 2 years, he worked inside that quiet room. He did not post about his progress. No one knew he was coding at 2 a.m. Instead of sleeping, no one saw him watch a single tutorial one more time to understand a concept better. His social media stayed silent. His friends thought he was at the diner or at home watching TV. They did not suspect the transformation taking place within him. Slowly, he began to earn. He signed up on a freelancing site and completed his first project: a basic website for a local bakery. The bakery owner gave him $10 as thanks. It was barely enough to fill his gas tank, but it filled Ethan with joy. He had built something that people used. He had solved a problem. It felt magical. Word spread quietly. Another business asked for help, and another. Each project paid a little more. He reinvested every penny in better courses, faster internet, and a second-hand laptop with more memory. Progress was slow, almost invisible. But under the surface, his skills grew deep roots. One night, after a long day at the diner and coding until midnight, exhaustion hit Ethan hard. He stared at the screen and thought, "What am I doing? I could be out there with friends, living life, or I could go to college like everyone else." Doubt gnawed at him, but then he remembered Mr. Howard's words, quiet sunrise. He closed his eyes and visualized that morning light sliding over his town. In the darkness, the sun's warmth rested dormant, waiting for the right moment. He opened his eyes and typed a line of code. That single action felt like a victory. He would not abandon this path. He would let silence guide him. 3 years after he began, Ethan had saved enough to rent a small office space. But he chose instead to convert the spare room in his family home. He invited 2 friends, Maya, a graphic designer, and Carlos, a marketing student, to join him. They shared his vision of building useful digital tools for small businesses. They worked in near silence, heads bent over computers, shared snacks, and occasional laughter when someone solved a tricky bug. They called their venture Oaksoft Solutions, in honor of the oak tree in the town park where Ethan first dreamed of quiet success. They did not buy fancy chairs or a coffee machine. They did not rent a glass-walled office or hire assistants. They focused every resource on building good products. Their first major client was the Brookfield School. The school needed an online portal for teachers, students, and parents. It was a big project, far bigger than anything they had attempted. Maya designed the interface, Carlos researched users' needs, and Ethan wrote code late into the night. Debugging took days. A critical bug appeared 3 nights before launch, threatening to crash the entire system. They all gathered in the spare room. The air was thick with tension. Nobody spoke. Ethan typed, Maya reloaded pages, Carlos checked logs. Silence pressed on them, but they held fast. At dawn, the final bug disappeared and the portal ran smoothly. They collapsed into chairs, breathless. Then Carlos whispered, "We did it." When the portal launched, the school's headmaster sent a simple email. "Thank you for your excellent work. Our community is better for it." That email felt louder than any fanfare. They had built something that mattered. The project underscored their belief that real success needs no drumroll. It arrives quietly, then speaks through its impact. Word of Oaksoft Solutions spread. Business owners shared their positive experiences, teachers recommended them, and soon other towns called. Orders came in for websites, apps, and maintenance. Yet every email, every call remained understated. "We're pleased with your work. Thank you for making our lives easier." No grand ceremonies, no parades, just gratitude. One day, a journalist visited Brookfield. She wrote an article titled "The Quiet Coders of Brookfield," describing how 3 young people built a successful tech company without flashy offices or loud marketing. The article printed a small photo of Ethan, Maya, and Carlos, plainly dressed, smiling shyly in front of their modest workspace. They ran their hands through hair, uneasy with so much attention, but they stayed grounded, knowing their real success lay in the code they wrote, the systems they fixed, and the community they served. While the world began to notice, Ethan felt a different reward deep inside. He felt peace when he woke up, knowing he was living his purpose. He felt a calm confidence when he faced new challenges, trusting in the skills he had built silently. He felt joy in small moments, fixing a stubborn bug, seeing a teacher easily upload homework, watching a restaurant owner smile when daily tasks became simpler. He also felt gratitude for the nights of solitude, for every failure that taught him to try again, for Mr. Howard's simple but profound advice. His success was not loud. It was a steady heartbeat, a soft but constant pulse that echoed in his life. Ethan remembered his own journey's lonely start. He decided to share his lessons with Brookfield High students. He offered free weekend workshops on coding and quiet leadership. 17 teens showed up at first, curious, unsure, shy. Ethan began with silence. He handed each student a small circuit kit and asked them to build a simple light. No instructions, just a box of parts. The students hesitated. After a long pause, one girl clicked 2 wires to the battery, and the LED glowed. Cheers erupted. That single moment taught them more than pages of slides. Success comes from trying, failing, and trying again, even when no one tells you how. They learned the joy of quiet discovery. Success did not leave Oaksoft untested. One year, a competitor from the city tried to undercut them. The competitor launched a flashy ad campaign, sponsored a big event, and promised low prices. Some of Ethan's clients were tempted. Maya worried. "We can't compete with that noise," she said. Ethan listened, then replied, "We don't have to outshout them. We have to outwork them, outcare them, and outlast them. Let's show our clients we're here for them. Let's keep our code clean, our support honest, and our prices fair." They did just that. They improved customer service, added thoughtful features, and offered genuine guidance. Clients stayed. The competitors' low prices led to poor support and buggy products. In 6 months, the competitor left the market. Quiet care, once again, won over loud promises. Late one evening, Ethan sat under the old oak tree in the park. He looked up at branches that swayed gently in the breeze. He thought of that seed inside him long ago, buried in darkness, and how it had grown into something strong and real, just like the oak above him. He closed his eyes and remembered his journey, the odd jobs, the late-night coding, the first $10 paycheck, the school portal crisis, the small newspaper article. Each step was quiet, taken without fanfare, yet those steps had carried him farther than he had ever imagined. Ethan opened his eyes and said softly, "Success is always quiet. It does not shout. It speaks through its work." Years later, Oaksoft Solutions expanded beyond Brookfield, serving clients across the region. Maya started her own design school, and Carlos opened a small marketing consultancy grounded in honesty. Ethan moved into a bigger office but kept the spare room workspace intact. It was a reminder of humble beginnings and the power of silence. He continued mentoring students under the oak tree. One day, a boy asked him, "How do we become successful like you?" Ethan smiled and replied, "Don't chase applause, chase purpose. Work quietly on what matters and let your results speak." On a crisp autumn morning, Ethan received a letter sealed in cream paper. Inside was a school award, Brookfield's most inspiring citizen. Past recipients had been loud philanthropists and grand benefactors. Ethan's award came as a surprise. At the ceremony, he stood on stage before an auditorium of hundreds. The mayor gave him a medal and asked him to speak. Ethan stepped to the microphone. He glanced at the audience full of applause and flashing cameras. He took a deep breath and said in quiet voice, "Thank you, but I did nothing spectacular. I simply worked in silence on what mattered. This medal doesn't belong to me alone. It belongs to every quiet person out there, building, fixing, learning, and caring without asking for attention." The room fell silent. Then, slowly, everyone stood and applauded, not just for Ethan, but for the idea that real success, the kind that changes lives and communities, grows quietly, like roots under the ground, before it breaks the surface. Remember Ethan's journey the next time you feel the urge to shout your plans to the world. Pause and choose the silent path of action. When you learn a skill, learn it deeply. When you build something, build it well. When you help someone, do it sincerely. Avoid the noise of showmanship and the trap of seeking quick applause. True success is always quiet. It blooms in dark rooms, in extra hours, in moments of doubt conquered, and in the compassionate work done without audience. And when it finally emerges into the light, it stands tall enough to shelter others, just as the quiet oak shelters all beneath its branches. Your silent sunrise awaits.